And Mr. McKinley for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Governor Clendenny, you made a very interesting remark in your prepared testimony and your remarks about 450,000 contaminated sites across the country. And I travel through your area twice a week, back through Frostburg and Cumberland and Frederick and Hagerstown. I see those sites that are still out there, these abandoned sites. It's my understanding that we probably remediate something less than 1,000 a year. So we're talking about 450 years ahead of us. Yes. And these are the sites that are the prime sites that over the years companies took because they had access to river, rail, and roads, and they're sitting there as a stigma in that community without being developed. So I don't think there's any appetite in this panel for us to cut the funding. If anything, I think we're going to try to increase it, get back to the appropriated level of $250 million and not less than that. But my concern is, in part with it, is not only is the 450 years ahead of us, but I want to build off what Congressman Shimkus raised, and that was he's walking on eggshells on this. I'm willing to talk about it, and that is, why aren't we talking about turning it into a revolving fund that we can provide monies as an option in lieu of putting 20% of a cost share? You return the investment back to the community, back to the federal government, so that we can reward some other community over the years with this. Because if we're going to make up the pace of 450 years, we've got to find another funding source. Is there a problem? Do any of you see a problem with turning it or involving it as an option to go to a revolving fund where you return some? If, Mr. Anderson, you said it could be as much as $34, $35 for every dollar. Just imagine if we could return that money to a rural community that doesn't have the 20% share. And I will venture to guess, even though it's in the law that you can waive your 20%, I'm going to guess there aren't too many are waived. So having said that, does that make any sense to look as an option? Would that be an incentive to do this?
Congressman, if I might add real quickly. First of all, as a good neighbor, I appreciate West Virginia as much, to be sure. My son is a graduate of the university, and I regularly drove through the same communities in West Virginia on our way up there, and a lot of parallels in terms of needs as well. The bottom line, we have used in Maryland some recapture efforts to go into a revolving fund on parallel programs, and they have worked well. And I think one of your basic thesis is absolutely correct, and that is, as we move ahead and as we look at the list of what is there, we have to examine every way, I think, to help both expand the bottom line amount, but also to recapture and to be able to put some funds into the future of this.
Giving Governor the time frame, what about, we had some testimony a year ago about was go monthly rather than annual. Being able to, for communities to be able to do it on a monthly basis to try, would that help increase participation in this rather than annual application grants?
Congressman, some cities do revolving loan funds, and it was a staple of efforts through a UDAG grant, which is no longer existing, but a lot of cities and counties will do revolving funds, but in all honesty, no mayors want to give money back to the federal government.
I do understand.
Congressman, I'm going to go way off script here. I think the whole idea of brownfields is what's happening with the greenfields. It's so much easier and cheaper to develop outside the urban cores. There's where you need to get your impact fees.
Okay.
Do an environmental impact fee on taking our agricultural lands away and creating more industries. And they're not industries, they're distribution centers of things.
Mayor, if I could on that, but I'm hearing from other people that I've talked to about this, that they're still abandoned, some of these, for whatever reason. Is there an appetite, do you think, with developers or so, to look for tax credits for people to locate in these brownfield sites? That is, would that be part of an incentive that might get people to locate this, because it goes to the heart of the issue about creating jobs, especially in downtown areas.
And we are doing that with incentives from the state and local government. This mill, if you move there until 2023, you don't pay any local or state income taxes. The developer doesn't pay any real estate taxes. So we are doing those incentives, and they do work. And maybe that's something that can work at the federal level. I'd be more than happy to look into that.
Okay, I'm sorry, I've run over my time. Yield back.
Gentleman yields back the time. Chair now recognizes